been working on is actually our homeowner repair programs. We work with Center for Accessible Living on providing funding for homeowners that need ramps in order to stay in their home. We know that generally the home that people are already in is the most affordable home that is available. So it's, it is, it behooves us to try to help people stay in that home if it's, of course, safe and if that's what they want to do. So, so we have had a homeowner repair grant program for a very long time, funded federally. And like I said, sometimes we partner with agencies like Center for Accessible Living, like New Directions, like Habitat to work on these programs. We, about maybe a year ago, we engaged with a consultant who is doing some work for us around the need for home repair in Louisville. And so we're about maybe a month out from having a report where it really took a look at the home repair needs in town. Oh, I'm hearing feedback or somebody talking. Just tell me if I need to stop talking for a second.
Who told you?
Okay.
Go ahead.
I think that's, oh, I don't know who's going. Okay, I'm hearing background noise, so just let me know if somebody, it's hard to see, so somebody tell me if I need to stop. So anyway, we engaged with this consultant because what we realized was that when you are a homeowner and you don't have a ton of income, you're on a fixed income, there are not a lot of options for you if you have a hole in your roof or your gutter is falling or something happens on the inside, your furnace goes out. So we were taking a look at this, at the home repair needs. And as part of this, kind of at the same time, Habitat started convening a group of agencies that do provide home repair to homeowners. And what we found was that there are a decent amount of home repair programs, but they're scattered and they're small, and they do tend to be focused. This is where the accessibility comes in. They do tend to be focused on seniors and people with disabilities. So that's good. But the other side of that is that there is nowhere near the resources available to meet the need that's out there. So we're kind of waiting anxiously for this report. I'd love to, when it comes out, I'll be happy to share it with the commission. It will have some recommendations. One thing we've seen from other cities is that philanthropy provides a decent amount of financing or funding that for home repair. That there is a broader, our consultant uses the word ecosystem. So when you're looking, it's not that the city is the only game in town. And if you're not, on the list, then you've got to wait another year or two until more funding is available. Sometimes there is a wide variety of options, whether it's grants for emergencies up to, no interest loans, because some homeowners do have the ability and the financial feasibility to pay the loan back, but their house doesn't appraise like it should or like it does in other areas. So anyway, these are areas that we are trying to focus on and trying to really expand the options for, because we know, whether we're working with Center for Accessible Living or whether we're working with our own intake team, we are getting calls from people who need ramps and bars in the restroom and a variety of different accessibility needs and deferred maintenance needs, and we are having to turn people away. And not just at the city, we have a resource guide, but there aren't enough resources. So that's one thing that I wanted to just sort of highlight, and like I said, that'll be coming out soon. The other piece has to do with our creation of new units. So we do currently receive federal funding that does provide developers funding or financing options for new rental units. And whenever the city, loans or contracts, finances these projects, there are accessibility requirements. They're not, they're certainly not 100%. And I know a lot of the projects that we fund may be specifically for seniors, or specifically for seniors and people with disabilities. So um, they, a lot of the units do tend to be more accessible. Sometimes they are, sometimes the units will meet the bare minimum. We're always, looking for developers who want to, go above and beyond, so that everybody has a chance to rent an accessible unit when that's what they need. We receive maybe $3 million a year to do that. So that sounds, can sound like a lot, but it funds maybe 2 or 3 projects a year. We do have I don't know whether to call them a partner agency, but another agency in town that's not part of the city, but it's the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And they receive funding from council to run similar programs where, again, they are providing financing to developers. I mean, I think that if you haven't looked at it, we have a housing needs assessment showing that we are lacking about 36,000 units for households at the lowest income in our community. And then Mayor Greenberg has a My Local Home plan that is put in place to try to create and preserve about 15,000 units. We're about 6,000 of the units there. Once I stop talking, I'll put some links to those in the chat, because we do have the plans available online, and we have a dashboard showing, kind of ongoing progress. So I'm trying to look at anything else. I think that's kind of an overview. Again, I didn't want to talk forever. So I'd love to, hear comments or questions about anything that I've talked about or might know about.
Hi, Lord. Hi, we're all good. And I was wondering, how can we maybe help you to create a better understanding, maybe with local developers, private developers, about the need for accessibility, and really how it could benefit them, I think, in the long run, but also importantly, the individuals that are living there. As you know, we all can acquire a disability, and you never know when that may happen or not. And to truly age in place, you have to be able to get in. And then if you want to have a family member or friend who has a mobility device that wants to get in, they can, again, I live in the Highlands. There's nowhere I can get in except for the house that I live in. So how could we maybe assist you? And even, and I don't know if this is also the administration, to encourage private builders to start making, if they can, I don't know if we can do this in incentivizing them, or I don't think we can really do any more with codes and regulations, because the state building code supersedes what we can do. But just how can we help you? Because I mean, I know you're in tune as well, but the incredible lack of accessible and affordable units in this city it's killing people. They can't, our house, we have not been able to do anything for 2 years because it's on freeze, because we believe there's no inventory. So how could we maybe help you, and what do you think we could do to enlighten the administration to this dire need for affordable and accessible housing throughout Louisville?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think that one of the things is, any data that can be shared is really helpful. The city does, based on mainly a requirement from HUD, although I'm sure we would enjoy doing it as well, an analysis of impediments to fair housing every 5 years. And Metropolitan Housing Coalition has prepared that for us for the past, the past couple of times. And I know that there is one getting ready to come out. And so that is helpful because it includes some data in there that we can use to say, we really do need, developers to go above and beyond whatever the kind of base requirements are. Because it will, it can cost more in the beginning, of course, but it also provides a need that we have. So I think, any data sharing, I think, is really very helpful. And anything that I don't know if anyone has seen, uh, I'm trying to think of something that shows um, the economic benefits. This is where, when we're dealing with developers, a lot of times it's a math problem, right? And they're already providing affordable housing, so they're not getting the rental income that they would be out of a market rate unit, which is great. That's where we come in with subsidies, but anything that can show, an economic benefit of having people be able to stay in their unit rather than having to leave and move elsewhere, I think is helpful too.
If I may, one other question. Do you have any like meetings where you bring the builders together at one point, and so where maybe we could talk to them just from a perspective of someone with a disability about the need? And I think the low cost that you do it in the very beginning, how much and more inexpensive it is than try to go back and retrofit. But just do you all meet where we could possibly discuss the issues that are of concern to us and what we think would be I think it could be a good business model for them to make affordable, accessible homes and for all across that. I'm just curious.
We don't have that right now. That's where I think, the building industry and the Kentucky real estate people, they have their professional associations. And I know our office has gone to them when they have meetings and talked about, various programs. And they've always been, pretty welcoming. So I'll definitely keep it in mind if we, ever do have, sometimes we have talked about, having a developers forum, talking about different financing. So I'll definitely keep that in mind, but we don't right now have like a regular, meeting with the development community.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Turn it down. Turn it.
There are able thought about who the does
Do you all ever talk about universal designs?
because they are all government effort the board not happen.
Because we're all going to have a disability at some point in our lives.
Very good point. That's a very good point. Um,
And it'll benefit everyone if they can stay where they are and not have to move.
right, absolutely. Yes, it comes up. Yes, we talk about it, and it does come down to finance. The good thing about our office is because we have federal funding, there are a lot of strings that are attached to that already. And of course we can add those strings as well. You know, a lot of it on our end comes down to funding, and as I think, you know, we know the federal funding is a little bit dicey right now. So, but anyway, yeah, we do talk about it. I mean, it would be great, especially if all the new construction that we're building or that we're financing to build would have, you know, would be accessible throughout.
And that's one of that. If we could like, I don't know, and again, I'm just saying, I'm throwing stuff out here, but could you or whoever we could just get with the administration to talk about some of this, because when he goes to talk to the mayor and the home builders association or whatever, can we get a meeting with the mayor at some point in time, or we can do it ourselves, I guess, but just some other people with housing experience, and also the huge issue that we have of lack of the units, that to try to enlighten the administration on what the issue is. So
Um, Councilwoman Shamika Parrish Wright, do you have a question for us? I saw that your hand's
Yeah.
raised.
No worries, thank you. Thank you for the updates and to talk about, when you mentioned the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, it made me think about also the anti-displacement ordinance as you talk about the new builds. I wanted to see if you could give an update on that and where it is. I know that's something that was passed by council, and something that there should be a board and stuff for, and to make sure that people aren't priced out of the communities. Thinking about aging in place, I do agree at the way things are going, many of us will have disabilities and need to be able to stay housed. Housing, our unhoused population continues to grow, and it's scary at the rate that it's growing. So I wanted to hear any updates around the anti-displacement ordinance, and as it relates to more housing being built, making sure that we're being conscious of the communities that are impacted by this the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Councilwoman, for that question. Yeah, so the anti-displacement ordinance was passed, I think unanimously, right, last year. And so one thing that it did was it asked our department to work with a university to come up with a matrix of sorts to put potential projects that would receive city subsidy through, to make sure that, or well, not make sure, but well, yeah, to make sure that the city is not funding or providing subsidies to projects that are potentially displacing residents, either of the current building, or even, some of the surrounding areas. So our department worked with Boston University pretty much the last half of last year, on developing that matrix. It is, we are still sort of trying to come up with, where, I don't know, I want to say like the logistics, like where the thing is going to be housed, how the software works, that sort of thing. But the matrix itself is pretty much in draft form. So then we have received some applications. To Councilwoman's point, there is supposed to be an anti-displacement commission that will, it's spelled out in the ordinance kind of what they do, but they review kind of the results of the projects that are put through the matrix, help with the housing needs assessment, a couple of other things. So we've had a lot of interest in that commission, and the ordinance has some very specific eligibility criteria. So we're in order to seat the commission, at first we need 9 eligible applicants, and I think we're at 4 right now. So we're getting more applicants, and we're vetting them. People need to live in an area, obviously, that is going to be affected by displacement. They need to, not be a real estate developer. I mean, there are some things, and it's, I guess, a good problem to have that we've had a lot of interest in that commission, but not everybody, meets the criteria. So anyway, we're getting applications and vetting them, and as soon as we have 9 that that appear to be eligible for the ordinance, we'll we'll be taking that through the council approval process, and then we'll get that ordinance, excuse me, that commission seated. You know, the good thing about, well, I don't know, but the one thing about, I guess, our office is we only provide funding for or for projects that have affordable housing in it. So and most of the ones that we fund are 100% affordable. So you know, we generally feel pretty good about the fact that the federal and local funding that's going is not displacing people. A lot of times, if we're funding even a preservation, you know, rehab in place, that's the ownership organization is like doing the work while the people are there, or moving them to another apartment and then moving them back. So so that is something that we've seen, even looking at the matrix with the anti-displacement. So I hope that helps.
It does. Just wondering about the timeline and if there will be a persons with disabilities represented on this commission.
You know, there absolutely can be. Yeah. You know, one thing I will do is I can put the link in the chat, or I can send the link to Gregory, and he can send it out to everybody. You know, feel free to apply if you're interested in sitting on that commission. And the I think I've got a list of sort of what the commission does do, because I'm probably leaving some things out. So just so you know what you're signing up for. So I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you, Councilwoman. My question.
And I believe, Councilman Scott Reed, you have a question? You have a question, Councilman Scott Reed?
I'm getting really, is
Yeah.
this for me?
Yeah, so you have a question?
Yeah, I'm getting really bad feedback, so I didn't understand what you're saying. Hey, Laura, just a question. Do you have, are you getting any input from BIA or the realtors on, with regard to, you know, accessibility, and to the point that was made earlier about accessibility being built up front rather than retroactively, and how that could benefit them? Because I do have some, I know Councilwoman Parrish Wright probably does too, but if not, I know Juba Barber, I know some people, and I'd be happy to advocate.
Yeah, thanks, Councilman. Yeah, we do. I mean, interestingly enough, we do regularly interact with those organizations, but I don't remember the last time I had a conversation with them about accessibility. So I think it might be, it might behoove us to do that. I think that sounds like a pretty good idea, and definitely something for the a good step forward for the commission, just to help educate and get the information out there. So yeah.
One other thing I wanted to ask, do you find that city regulations are onerous and in many ways prevent you from doing more quicker? And the reason I'm asking that is that it's something that I'm on the Planning and Zoning Committee. It's something that we're looking at. How do we make development in the city less burdensome and quicker? I mean, that's not to say that we want to usurp everybody's authority and every council person's authority to be involved in development, but there are some common sense things that we can do. And if you can think of some things, this is something that I'm kind of passionate about, I would encourage you to bring them to me and to our committee. So I'm just asking you.
Yeah, absolutely. I doubt we have time for the list, and also at least today, but also we do work a lot with the Office of Planning, so I think the lists are pretty similar. But you're right, we need to make this faster, and you know, with caution. But there have been a lot of there are a lot of changes that I think could be made that wouldn't, you know, usurp anyone's authority or power, but instead would help move things forward. One, I will tell you a couple things that that aren't necessarily regulatory that we've been looking at. we learned recently from Atlanta that they have put together a group of public landowners. And so, just for everybody else in the room, when a public entity like the city owns land and we want to use it for a particular purpose, we go through a zoning process, but it is a little different than a developer having to go through a zoning process, which in the city can be somewhat problematic. So anyway, but we've been looking at, what land do we own that we potentially could use for affordable housing or community development kind of purposes. And we've been somewhat successful in just starting that with property off of Dixie Highway and Watson Lane Elementary in the south. So, that's but yes, there are a lot of different regulations that could easily be changed a bit in order for us to be able to build housing faster. Absolutely.
Thank you. And then finally, one last thing. The state of Kentucky is what is referred to as a judicial state, which means that it's much more difficult to foreclose on vacant and abandoned properties than it would be, for example, in Arizona. And more states are becoming non-judicial states. So I'm wondering if you've made your feelings known to any of the state representatives. I certainly have, and I'm continuing to do that. That this is something that they need to take up in the next General Assembly. So what if essentially this, I'm trying to be long with, what essentially this means is that while still protecting the homeowner, it's just less layers that the city would have to go through to get to vacant abandoned properties in areas that could be converted for the disabled community, the houseless community, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've had a lot of luck with state over the last 10 years. I mean, vacant and abandoned properties is something that tends to be a bipartisan support, and I think I just saw Councilwoman's comment, boy, Kentucky loves its property rights. So, so we, a lot of times we'll talk about vacant and abandoned property, and it's people who live next to it say, we don't care about the owner's rights, we care about ours. We shouldn't have to live next to this scary looking dilapidated property, which is exactly right. And so, so it's been interesting. We've made oddly a lot of headway in the past decade, but you're right. It's not, the Constitution and the law does not see a difference necessarily all the time between an abandoned property and, somebody who's gone on vacation and is coming back. So,
Well,
yeah,
please let me know what I can do to help advocate for you.
will do. Absolutely.
Okay.
Thanks, Councilman.
Thank you.
And I think Lisa right here has a question.
Hi, Laura and Laura. I have a question for you. When it comes to the abandoned properties, is there a reporting system of sorts? Or a way to contact someone if you had questions about those vacant properties in your neighborhood? I live in Portland, and I mean, there's just a tremendous amount of, and it's really rough, trying to maintain your property and having these issues.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first line of defense we always tell people is codes and regs, and that's of course 311, and I think they even have a direct number now. But if the questions are more around, what is going on with this particular property, feel free to I'll put my email in there, and feel free to email me. I'll put you in touch with our team. They can provide a little bit of property research and say, this is what's happening with that particular property. Because sometimes people are just very interested in like these particular properties, and sometimes the city has them in foreclosure, or something is happening, but it's just not publicly known. So I'm happy to do that.
Hey,
Thank you.
Laura, excuse me. This,
Does anyone else have
this
questions
is
for Laura?
also, well, this is Hetty.
Oh, hi, Hetty. I didn't
How you
realize
doing?
you were coming today. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to something that you said about who else they can contact, because they can also, if they are able to go online, they can get on there with the client services and put in their questionnaire of concern or question, littleky.gov Office of Client Services, and we'll also be able to help them through that process of finding out about properties and if there's anything on them, any violations, anything that we can help them with, we can do that as well.
Oh, that's good. Hetty, what I was typing in the email address. What remind us of the email address and I'll type it in the chat.
It's the LouisvilleKY.gov Office
Oh,
of
it's a
Client
form, right?
Services.
It's a form. Okay. All
Yeah,
right, I'll find the
yeah.
link. Okay. Got
All
it.
right, great. We'll be happy to help on that too.
Great. Does anyone else have any questions? Anyone else have any questions?
This is probably gonna be an oddball. And bear with me coming from this box. Has anyone done any kind of research on how much it would add to the cost of the building if we just incorporated it in our building regs? That we have things like rails on stairs, or that you have a little ramp that helps not just, these things don't just help the disabled community. And I'm very conscious of the fact that I came into this community a couple of ways. I mean, I came into it myself through surgery and through a couple of illnesses. My wife, which is why I wear this mask, is highly immunocompromised due to all of the treatment she has to take for her rheumatoid arthritis, for her asthma, for her neurological issues. I used to work with ALS patients. I served on the board of directors for the ALS Association of Georgia. I did things like augmented communication and adaptive devices with one of my department. And it's just that there's a lot of things that would help, quote unquote, the disabled community that incidentally helps a lot of other folks.
Mhm.
Like, have you ever had an accident yourself? Have you ever had fallen down and suddenly you're on crutches for a couple of weeks or whatever, and you suddenly have to, it helps more than just the disabled community. It helps everybody. How much extra does it add to the house to add in a railing, to add in a short ramp? And I'm just asking.
Or degrade the lots and let you go ahead.
Yes,
Hello.
A lot of things
preventive measures, yeah.
that can be done. There are some studies out there, but I don't know if there's.
I mean, I'll dig, don't get me wrong, I'll dig on it.
I
I've
don't
got
know
a lot
if
of research.
But I know there's some other states that have done. And I've seen that it's like 1 to 5% cost of building a home.
It's de minimis.
It's very, very small amount because you're buying the same amount of lumber, you're buying.
Right.
It's gonna
And I mean, like, we'd love to age in place in our existing homes, but
So, but yes, I think there's some studies that.
it's changed.
Please feel free. I mean, when you
You're
find
welcome
anything.
for people to join that.
Oh, sorry.
So thank you so much, Laura, for coming.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry
Thank
for the
you.
technical difficulties.
Okay,
Thank you.
yes,
Appreciate it, Laura. Thank
I will
you.
share the link for.
And we're just gonna move on to our subcommittees again. Today we're gonna talk about transportation with Miss Lisa.
And I'm going to be brief, and thank you. This subcommittee is 9 members strong, and what we like to accomplish and what I've been doing is working closely with Sean Riley with TARC. I was in the community meeting with him going over the survey. And what I realized is that, and what he brought to my attention was there are some areas of concern in the environment that are unwalkable and inaccessible for those in wheelchairs or with canes or any type of other extended apparatus to help them walk. So we have a walkability study taking place this Thursday, May 8th at 1:30. We're going to meet at Grinstead and Barstown Road. That was one of the areas that he mentioned that I should cover when I explained to him that I was a part of the commission. So he was excited about that. So we'll get that information out to you in the chat. And if there's anyone that can meet with myself, Mr. Larry Sloan, he stated that he would be able to make it if the weather's if there's inclement weather, excuse me. We can reschedule that, but I would like to ask any of the subcommittees or anyone on the commission if they would like to come out and join us. Dia will supply us with the AARP walkability paperwork, and we'll just take that time from 1:30 to 2:30, take that time to survey that area. And with that conversation, he also explained to me that there are going to be areas of transportation that will be cut off in the English station area when it comes to TARC and TARC 3. And he also posed questions about whether or not taxpayers be willing to pay a little bit more tax to cover the cost of to keep TARC 3 down for those that actually utilize the service. Would just regular everyday people would like to help with that in their tax by paying that additional tax to cover the cost of not raising those prices. I thought that was a great idea. I'd be more than willing to do something like that. So we were able to really cover a lot of ground in that meeting at Please and Thank You. So those have been very successful. I've been working closely with him. We've had conversations. And that's what I just wanted to announce to you this afternoon. If anyone would like to come out on this Thursday. And thank you for your time, and I yield it back to
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much. We have the next commission's education employment. It's listed. I don't think we have someone that's ahead of it. Does anyone from that is on that commission attending today? I don't think there is. Yeah.
We're actually looking for a volunteer. I used to be on that subcommittee also.
Okay.
So we're looking for a new lead on
Okay.
that subcommittee at this time. So if there's any areas of interest with education and employment, you would submit that to Ms. Dia. Submit your interest to her.
So we're looking for a chair.
Yeah. In the chair. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Chair of that.
Same. Of that.
Who
committee.
do we
Okay.
submit to? Who do we submit to?
Yes.
Can you say the name again, who we would submit to?
And then next we're moving on to new business and public comments.
I just have two things. One, welcome to Mr. David over here. So myself and Greg, we did meet with David and Jennifer Kern a week ago, 2 weeks ago. And so when we're talking about the walk audits and things like that, I'm very happy. That's one of the things we talked about. We do have a place for those to kind of funnel through now for review, which is something that we have been lacking in the past with the absence. Right. So, yeah, since we, yes. So we had a contact in the past who is very active with like the mayor's ADA roundtables and things like that from Public Works. And so we just didn't have a good spot to filter things through to be able, especially for sidewalk review, transportation, planning, that kind of stuff. So David is now going to be part of our go through with that. So if you would just make sure that we get those reports and stuff like that back, so he can take that back to his respective teams. I would like it to come, if it's something we're doing on behalf of the commission, I would like it to come back to the commission, but then that way he and Public Works and the other divisions can be incorporated. Yeah. Yes. So yeah, that's fine. So so yeah, as the ADA coordinator for the city, obviously I can make sure it gets to him. And if it's something with parks, it goes to parks. We know we had an issue earlier last week with one of our park sites. So yes, good job to Parks for getting that fixed so quick. So I just want to make sure that it does kind of come back here and then gets dispersed out appropriately. So it's on record that the commission did do that and kind of what our follow through is. So that is great news, and I'm very happy to welcome David to our group. And then the second one is after many months of trying, we did finally get a meeting on the books for the end of next month with Danny Wimmer presents. So we will be meeting. They actually have some members from an accessibility team, which was the first I'd heard that there was an actual accessibility team within their organization. So there is a select few of us who will be meeting with them. If you have any specific questions that you would like to have addressed on behalf of the commission, please send them to myself or to Greg, so we can compile those and just make sure. I know we all have our own list of things that we've talked about from this commission that's come out over the past few months, and discussions from the education or the events and public spaces committee. But if you have anything else you want to add to that, I want to make sure that we have a thorough list to take into that meeting. So
That puts on Bourbon.
right. And they also
now
have signed a
Iroquois.
10-year deal with Iroquois, so they will be doing all the programming for Iroquois as well. And so I'm very happy to have that meeting and yes. So, but please send us questions if you have anything outside of what the ones we already know that have come through, and some topics of conversation from people who have attended past events going into festival season. So that's all I got.
Okay, I have one.
Yeah.
It's Ally. It was officially released today, but Fanfare 2025 is going to be on Saturday, June 7th. If you're unfamiliar with Fanfare, that is a yearly fan giveaway for seniors, so anyone 60 years of age or older, or anyone with a verified disability of any age, where they can come receive a free 20-inch box fan at the Edison Center. That is a Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to 11. I can get you, I'll send Greg the digital, well, he has the digital of the flyer and he'll send that out. Please share. That is for anyone, no income guidelines. There will be a resource fair on site. So that is a completely sponsor-driven event. Without those people at the tables there, those sponsors, we do not have money to buy fans. So please come visit them, learn about their programs. The prescription drug take back is back. The sheriff's office is facilitating that for us. And we will have a wide variety of vendors, but like I said, free 20-inch box fan, anyone who's 60 years of age or older, or a verified disability. And we partner with KIPTA on that. So it is the 10th anniversary. So big time. We're making our fan purchase this week, so it's in the multiple hundreds. So we will have lots of fans to give away. So, but yeah, that's all.
I think we have a quorum to end the meeting. So the next meeting is June 2nd. It's a hybrid for the COSAIR here and then also Teams. So thank you guys so much. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.